Welcome to BIV Today, the daily business show from the journalists at Business in Vancouver. I'm Hayley Woodin, and this year the Whistler Film Festival begins its 20th anniversary. It's celebrating a major milestone in a very unprecedented and unusual time. The festival itself starts next week, and joining me today to talk more about what viewers can expect are Angela Heck, Managing Director of the Whistler Film Festival Society, and Paul Gratton, the festival's Director of Programming. Paul and Angela, thank you both so much for coming on the show.
Thank you for having us.
Angela, I'll start with you. Like I said, this is a milestone year for the festival, but during a very unprecedented and unusual time. Tell me a bit about what it took to pull this year's event together.
Unprecedented is absolutely the right word. This is not exactly how we were expecting to celebrate our 20th anniversary, but we are in the business of innovation and creation. So we have taken very many steps towards digital transformation, and we'll be presenting our festival online this year from December 1st to 31st. Our festival includes a industry programming component known as the Content Summit, and we'll be welcoming people to our virtual mountain home this year as we have for the past 20 years.
You mentioned some of the differences. Of course, virtual is kind of the name of the game for so many things these days. How different an experience is it going to be this year?
I guess.
Paul, did you want to?
Yeah, I'll jump in. Certainly in terms of the online presentation of films, it's kind of unprecedented. The magic of Whistler is going to be disseminated right across Canada for the first time. I mean, in prior years, you pretty well had to fly into Whistler to appreciate all the different components in the interactions and the energy. And this year we're going to be able to roll it out nationally, beginning on December 1st. Every day for 20 days, there'll be at least one or two premiere films being added to the pool of films available for people who visit our site. From December 20th till December 31st, every title will be available. And we did that in particular to recognize the specific nature of the month of December, where people are often very busy doing pre-Christmas things until the week between Christmas and New Year's. And then people are kind of stuck at home watching reruns on conventional television or sappy Christmas movies. So we thought it would be in everybody's best interest to expand our offerings right through till the end of the month, which kind of puts us in an unprecedented position where we're offering our films for an entire month this year on a national basis. So we're very excited about how technology has opened up our capacity to speak to film buffs right across the country from sea to shining sea.
Mm-hmm. That's an interesting point amidst all these challenges, obviously, in running an event, an opportunity to maybe reach people who otherwise wouldn't be able to attend an in-person event. Angela, I'm sure it's a bit too early to say, but in the years ahead, do you foresee maybe being able to incorporate more online or hybrid offerings in future festivals?
I absolutely see the hybrid model being here to stay for a while. And it's important to recognize that the presentation of films is absolutely important and critical to our success, but the film festival is also inclusive of the industry programming. So our Content Summit, for example, will be hosting 36 sessions, and the digital transformation there has really made it possible to invite guests actually from anywhere in the world and to make our offering available worldwide. So the opportunities for engagement online are really not tied by geography. I think people will definitely miss that one-on-one networking that comes from being in a really live and in-person environment. And that's absolutely a challenge to recreate because there's a lot of serendipity that happens there, as we know, but we've really been playing with a lot of technical tools to make sure that people can still network and meet. And we've actually integrated new software into our platform to make that even more compelling. So those are all things that have really informed our thinking as we're moving forward here. We've also really used our organization to grow talent within the country as part of the whole ecosystem of the industry, so that we are encouraging emerging filmmakers hone their craft, to take part in the industry programming, and then ultimately to present their films through the festival. And in that way, we're taking a very, very holistic approach of the industry as well.
Mm-hmm. Paul, when it comes to programming, have you found anything interesting or unique this year, either in terms of availability of content or the kinds of films that you choose to showcase in an online versus in-person environment?
I think in many ways, Whistler has become even more like itself in this, our 20th anniversary. We've always positioned ourselves as being an alternative to the other Canadian film festivals in terms of the amount of attention we take to showcase emerging talent and people with first-time films, female directors, underrepresented categories. We're a festival that doesn't show the movies that have been shown at all the other film festivals. 2/3 of all of our online offerings are world, Canadian, or North American premieres. 56% of our features are from first-time filmmakers. I think that's a very unique characteristic. And 71% of our films are Canadian content. So already you get the feeling that this is a different kind of film festival that I think addresses a niche that the bigger national festivals such as Toronto simply can't address because of their sheer size and how they're positioned in the marketplace. So we see ourselves as a complement that very much is an adjunct to those kinds of festivals. The other key characteristic this year, which we thought reflected the times, and especially the local quality of our offerings, local in the sense of so much Canadian content, is that we have gone public by saying we're going to split the box office returns 50-50 with the filmmakers or the Canadian rights holders. And we think that's a very unique characteristic of this year's offerings. It's probably a bit of a motivator. We found that most of the Canadian filmmakers and many of the American independent filmmakers were only too happy to join in this experiment of having a month-long film festival in exchange for the guarantee of 50% of the box office. It's really a different approach to having an online film festival. And in exchange for that, there's no caps, there's no specific dates. Once the film is premiered, it's going to be available right through until December 31st at midnight. So in exchange for playing within our model, we thought it would be only correct to share with the proceeds with the filmmakers. And I think we've got our strongest lineup of product in the 8 years that I've been programming Whistler. A lot of people came on board with our model this year.
That's really exciting and a great way to support filmmakers, screenwriters, those in the arts and culture industries that we know have been really hard hit this year because of the pandemic. Kind of on that note, Paul, do you have any top picks or films that you're really excited to watch or would highly recommend someone watch this year?
That's always a tough question for me because, in a sense, it's like asking you which one of your babies do you prefer? Which child is your favorite? I'll point to Sugar Daddy, which is our opening film, which launches the entire film festival. It kind of personifies the sort of movie we seek out, that we chase. It's a breakthrough tour de force performance by writer, lead actress Kelly McCormack. She plays a young musician who comes to the big city trying to break into the entertainment world, but she loses her job and finds out that she can actually make money escorting older men out for dinners with no sexuality involved. Colm Feore plays one of the older men that pays for her services. And of course, he's such a charming rogue, things get complicated. It's a first-time feature from a female director, Wendy Morgan. And I just think it's gangbusters. It's just an extraordinary film, and that's why we selected it to kick off the festival.
Well, I think you're absolutely right. I think as the film festival model is really emerging, to have that kind of curated content and know that everything has really been selected, for the viewer to absolutely enjoy and get the best. It's almost, like you're just by coming to the festival, it's going to be an amazing experience. So that kind of discoverability is already built into that experience.
Mm-hmm. Obviously, we're focused on and excited about this month-long film festival that's set to launch next week. But Angela, in kind of looking at this model and considering that the festival, through talent programs and other offerings, supports artists, filmmakers throughout the year, how has the pandemic maybe positioned a festival society like yours to step up and maybe fill in some of the gaps that have occurred because of COVID-19? What are you maybe looking forward to in the year to come?
I think what's been really interesting is that kind of digital transformation, and that we are able to reach audiences in a much wider way, and for people to discover us. I mean, we're really noticing even on our box office right now that we're getting those ticket sales coming from Quebec, coming from Ontario, and that word is getting out that there is this amazing center for film presentation and Canadian film presentation that can be discovered across the country. So I think really that digital element has been really interesting. There are challenges. I think people are just engaging online in a much different way than they would in person. For example, you would have made your plans to travel here well in advance. So with so much competing for people's attention and energy, people seem to be coming to the process a little bit later, but they are coming, which is very encouraging. And, let's just face it, time takes on a completely different dimension in Zoom. It's been an interesting time of adjustment, but we are really enjoying that process of innovation, especially on the digital side, and that's allowed us to reach these audiences on a national scale.
The process of programming movies online is an interesting one, because really until this year, none of the film festivals nationally or internationally had really had to face that challenge. And so we had, being one of the last film festivals in the calendar year, we had the opportunity of looking at what other film festivals had done before us, what the models were and what the approaches were. And one of the most consistent complaints was when film festivals tried to too closely emulate the sort of timing and offerings that you would get at an actual film festival. In other words, a lot of film festivals would show a movie on Tuesday at 9 o'clock, and there would only be 300 tickets available. That works well in a physical theater where you plan your outing, but online, a lot of people express frustration with that. So we really designed our model to be more online friendly, if you will, in terms of the expectations that people have when they go online to watch a movie, that they're not going to be told it's sold out, that there's 24 hours in which to watch it. You can pause and come back to it. There's a flexibility in our presentation that we think better reflects the online experience of people who watch movies online than people who actually buy tickets and go to a traditional film festival. And we've made adjustments accordingly.
That's very interesting. Angela, in the final few seconds we have left, where can people go to find out more information or even attend one of these films virtually?
Well, they're welcome to see us online at whistlerfilmfestival.com. All the information is there. The film lineup has been announced. Our content summit is starting on December 1st, and it's going to be really interesting to see how people engage with us, and we're really excited about presenting the festival this year.
Yeah, we may have to check in with you after the festival to find out what kind of trends you noticed and where people joined you from, because it certainly is a very different year. But Angela, Paul, thank you both so much for sharing some of your time with us today.
Thank you
for having us.
That's Angela Heck, Managing Director of the Whistler Film Festival Society, and Paul Gratton, the festival's Director of Programming. I'm Hayley Woodin. Thanks so much for listening and watching. Our show will be back with a new episode tomorrow.